What a perfect day to make some sausages. Today I'm going to make some South African Boerewors sausages, and I'm going to make some, I don't know, one would call it, it's like a cross between bratwurst and pork bangers, so we can just call it Cindy sausages. And I'm going to make 3 kilos of Boerewors and 2.5 kilos of my version of the pork bangers. In Norway, it's not that easy to get the right kind of meat, so I usually just get like a little selection. They usually cut all the fat off the pork, so that's not really what we want. We want the fat. So this seemed to have a little bit of fat on, so that's why I got them. And then I found this is perfect, so that will definitely go in. You want some fat in your sausages, and I'm going to mince this myself. I'm going to add in some bacon as well, just for a little bit more fat. And this is the sausage casings that I will show you what we're going to do with. And then of course all my things that I'm going to be putting in, which I'll tell you about a little bit later, and my lovely sausage machine that I can't do without. I had one, I used to make sausage in China, made it in Tanzania, made it in Ukraine, I even made it in South Africa, even though you can get sausage there. And now I make it in Norway. So you can add, for the Boerewors, you can have pork and beef. I only put in a little bit of beef because beef tends to be a bit drier than the pork, and I don't want my sausages to come out too dry. So the sausage casings come in a packet like this, and they're completely covered in salt, so they last forever basically. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to cut off some casings and wash off the salt and then flush them out. I'll show you how we're going to do that now. So I've unraveled quite a bit of the sausage casing. This is the membrane that goes around a pig's intestines, I think. It's called whole casings. And I'm now going to rinse the salt off, and then rinse the salt off, and then I'm going to run water through it so that I get rid of all the extra salt, because we don't want it to be filled with salt. So when I flush them, I put the casing over the tap and slowly run some water through it. And when you're letting the water run through, you can see it's going to get all the salt out. So just, running water through it to get all the salt out, because the salt has been in there preserving it. And you can see the difference, what it looks like now once you have rinsed all the salt off and flushed it through with warm water. And you can just let it sit in a little bit of water while you get your meat all prepared, minced up, that needs to be minced up, and get ready to start adding the spices. If you're going to make your own mince, because obviously to make sausages you need to turn the meat into mince, then cut it into thin strips, which you are then going to feed into your sausage machine. Just a little tip, I keep the containers the meat came in, because these are actually great to put your finished sausages in, and cover it with cling wrap and then freeze it. The beauty of making your own sausages and actually making your own ground meat or minced meat is because then you're deciding what quality of meat you're going to use. So you can see here I'm actually using really good quality pork to make my ground meat, as you can see here. So I'm using very, very good quality pork, because sometimes, you know, when you're buying sausages, people are putting like really strange things inside those sausages. I remember when I was living in Ukraine, and I was so excited because I saw what looked like Boerewors, and then when I started cooking it, that horrible smell of tripe started coming, and I realized, yeah, they hadn't used really nice pieces of meat, and I just had to throw it away. I couldn't even finish cooking it. I just couldn't do it. So I prefer to make my own mince for my sausages, so that I know exactly what is going into these sausages. So once you have finished mincing your meat, you are going to be adding in the spices. I generally tend to just jot down my recipes I'm going to use on the back of an envelope. Thank goodness some companies still send slow mail, so that you can reuse the backs of envelopes, so that if I get meat or anything falling on it, I don't really care, because it's just a scrap piece of paper. So I'm making quite coarse ground meat. I could put on the smaller whole cutting plate, but I've decided I want it a little bit coarser. Right, now it is time to make the sausages. So I'm going to add in the spices. So for my version of English bangers, which is like a combination of bangers and bratwurst, I'm going to be putting in a teaspoon of paprika. I'm going to put in, let's get the English sounding, no, it doesn't have English sounding word. This is marjoram, so I'm going to be putting in 4 teaspoons of marjoram. I'm going to put in 5 teaspoons of salt. I'm going to put in 1.5 teaspoons of dried parsley. I'm going to put in 2.5 teaspoons of coarsely ground coriander. I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon of mustard powder. I'm going to put in 2.25 teaspoons of nutmeg, and I'm going to put in where's it gone now? Yeah, teaspoon of garlic powder, and where's my ginger? 1.5 teaspoons of ginger powder, and a teaspoon of cloves. You might think it's quite a lot of spice going in, but you want your sausage to have some good flavor. And then once I've added all of that, I'll be putting in 1/2 cup of water. Once you've mixed it in by hand and made sure that you really mix in the spices so that it covers all the area and isn't just all collected in one small spot, Then it is time to go on to making your Boerewors mixture. So you're going to let that, push that aside so that the spices and herbs can flavor the meat. And now it's time to start adding everything that you need into making the Boerewors, which is the traditional South African sausage. So for this, we're going to put in half a teaspoon of nutmeg. We're going to put in 3 tablespoons of coriander. We're going to put in 1 teaspoon of pepper. We're going to put in 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, and we are going to put in 1 teaspoon of cloves and half a cup of vinegar. It's probably best to use brown. I use brown or white, whatever I happen to have handy. I've even used apple vinegar and it works well. And I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of Worcester sauce. I'll have the recipe for this down below in the description. Once you've added all the spices and the water, you are going to mix this in with your hands. Oops, nearly forgot, 5 teaspoons of salt. So once you've added everything in, let me just add in the vinegar. It's time to mix it by hand again. This was the Worcester sauce that I added. This isn't generally in the recipe, but I had some garlic and herb mix that I added that in as well, just to give a little bit of extra flavor. The thing with Boerewors is you can add in red wine if you want, you can add in chili, you can add in any other little extra. This is just the basic recipe for basic Boerewors. My advice is don't put more than this on the tray of your sausage machine at once, because it will become difficult to manage. And also I find that it's really good to, as you've used up this lot, turn your machine off to just give it a chance to cool down before you put the next on, because otherwise these are not commercial machines, they're just supposed to be for home use, but you don't want it to overheat. So the next step is to put on your hog casings onto the little funnel that comes with your sausage machine. So you have to just put it on like this. And when you make Boerewors sausage, you are making it that it's like a continuous, I don't know what the word would be, a continuous sausage. You're not going to put it into links. And the pork sausages, I will be putting that into links. So you can see I am busy putting this on, so it'll be ready for when the sausages are going to come out. I might actually just cut this off here. The next. So I'm going to be making some sausage now. Let the sausage come out on the baking sheet. So to start making the Boerewors, you get like handfuls of sausage meat and you put it into your sausage machine. So I'm just going to show you how to make one, just the start of it. I'm not going to show you how to make the whole batch of sausages because it's quite noisy. So hold your ears, here goes. So as you can see, you are guiding it as it is coming out, as the mince is coming out of the little funnel, you are sort of guiding the skin so that the sausage comes out well filled without big air gaps in between. I'll be careful, it's falling down now. Once you get started, it goes like really quickly. Just get the next lot ready to go. So that is the first lot of boerewors that I've made. So you can see you can leave it as a large continuous piece of sausage, but as I'm going to be sharing it with some friends, I'm going to break it off into some smaller pieces. So now is the time for me to make my take on pork bangers. Yeah, sausage day, sausage Sunday. So when you've done, you can cut your boerewors sausage into whatever size you think would feed you or your family, and as you can see, you curl it around like that as one continuous link, and then the pork bangers, once again you decide the size of your pork bangers you want to have, and then what you do is you just sort of squash it down a little bit, and then you twist it to create the links like this. You can see over here how it's been twisted, and yeah, so that's about the size. With my fingers there, you can see the size that I've made them. They're great for bangers and mash, and I will wrap these in cling wrap for my friends. I haven't turned all the mince into sausage because I'm going to make some hamburger patties, and then I'm going to make some meatballs as well. So there you have it. Easy to make homemade sausages, better than shop bought.